3 a.m. prayer for peace. The shocking truth about what happens when you believe at 3 in the morning, when the world is draped in darkness. Something bizarre awakens. A whisper of an ancient prayer lingers in the air, one that promises peace but unleashes chaos. People all over town claim they've heard it, seen it visions too mystifying to believe. It's a tantalizing dance where light meets shadow, and your heart races just thinking about it. And while sunlight quietly creeps in, there are those among us who know a secret that could change everything. As Jake paced in his small, dimly lit room, his heart pounded against his ribcage like a trapped animal. He had just one question echoing in his mind. What really happens when you chant the prayer for peace at 3 a.m.? The stories about it couldn't be true, could they? A local myth suggested that people who uttered the words might glimpse the truth of their deepest fears, or even worse, call forth something dark and shadowy. The flickering candle on his desk cast long, eerie shadows that twisted and turned like the monsters lurking just outside his door. A friend had dared him to try it, claiming he witnessed something incredible. He had seen a figure manifest in the moonlight, a being cloaked in silver mist, whispering secrets of a universe. But when Jake thought about it, he couldn't shake the chills crawling up his spine. The room seemed to pulse with energy, every creak of the old house sending splinters of fear racing through him. Despite the dread, his curiosity was a fire, igniting his resolve. What if he was the next one to witness for better or worse? The clock ticked ominously as he clenched his fists, trying to summon the courage to speak the words, "God, grant me peace." The second he opened his mouth, a sudden silence enveloped him, thick, heavy, suffocating. And then a crackling sound filled the room, like static on the radio before a haunting voice breaks through. It sent shivers coursing down his spine. Was it just his imagination, or had he truly awakened the unknown? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As he gathered the courage, his breath quickened, a knot forming in his stomach. What if the prayer truly summoned something? The candle flickered violently, and for a heartbeat, he caught a glimpse of a shadow darting past the window, a fleeting wisp of darkness that vanished into the early dawn. The air grew colder, thick with uncertainty. It was then he realized prayers could yield more than solace. They could unleash secrets better left hidden. He was on the verge of something monumental. But could he handle the revelation? The anticipation stretched like a tightrope, and for the first time, Jake understood. Not all truths bring peace. What awaited him in the trust of that whispered chant? Only time would tell. Jake stood frozen, his pulse racing, feeling the weight of something unseen pressing down on him. That chilling voice would never leave his mind, an echo chasing him into the silence. He glanced at the candle. The flame flickered wildly, as if responding to a breeze that wasn't there. His gut told him he had crossed a line into a place where shadows held court. Suddenly, a loud crash broke the stillness. He jumped, instinctively backing away from the desk. A book fell off the shelf, thudding to the floor. He cursed under his breath, moving cautiously towards the noise. With each step, the shadows seemed to warp and twist, anxious and alive, taunting him. What if the stories were real? Jake squatted down, peering at the fallen book, its cover aged and dusty. The Secrets of the Unseen, it read, flipping open to a page that had been bookmarked with a yellowed piece of paper. Scribbled notes filled the margins, frantic and chaotic, all seemingly desperate warnings about the prayer tales of darkness unleashed upon those who called it forth. The words ranged from legendary to grotesque, speaking of nightmares that took tangible form. Don't disturb the peace. One line read, its urgency stirring alarm in Jake's chest. The sensation of being watched enveloped him, a stinging prickles running down his spine. Instinct kicked in, and he slammed the book shut. The noise and echo of muffled terror. He rushed back to the desk, candle in hand, desperate for its faint warmth. The chill returned, wrapping around him like a vice. Was he truly alone? Outside, the world was just beginning to stir, but inside, he felt ensnared in a web of horrors waiting to unfurl. He could no longer ignore the pulling sensation in his gut, a mix of dread and curiosity, battling for dominance. God, grant me peace, he whispered, this time quieter, as if the shadows could hear him. Nothing happened, but the air around him thickened, and he felt a presence stirring. The hairs on his arms stood on end. A soft rustle in the corner drew his eye. He turned to find nothing, just his imagination running wild. But the shadow there it was again, gliding along the wall with a life of its own. Heart racing, he gripped the candle tighter, illuminating the darkness like a shield against what he could not see. Show yourself, he shouted, desperation overcoming fear. Silence answered him, heavy and oppressive. The flickering light cast strange shapes that seemed to shape into figures. Were they beckoning him? The moment hung pregnant with tension. The hairs on the back of his neck prickled with the whispers that slithered just beyond his comprehension. He turned, desperate for a sense of reality. What could he do? Was there a way to put the darkness back where it belonged? Then, in a flicker of light, a figure emerged, a translucent silhouette with eyes that smoldered like burning coals, watching him with an intensity that sent cold waves through his body. This was no mere shadow. It was something ancient, something summoned by his own voice. Jake gasped and stumbled back, nearly falling into the desk. What do you want? He managed, voice shaking, fear clawing at his throat. The figure paused, a whisper like the wind brushing past his ear. Peace is not what you seek, it is truth. What truth? The breath caught in Jake's throat as the creature stepped closer, shadows swirling with every motion. And with that, the candle blazed bright, illuminating the room just as the figure whispered its next words, words that would shatter reality as he knew it. But he wasn't ready for what came next. The air crackled with tension. Each new breath Jake took feeling like a gamble. The figure loomed closer, its fiery gaze penetrating his very soul. The shadows danced wildly around them, morphing into grotesque shapes that seemed to laugh at Jake's despair. He was torn between the urge to flee and the need for answers. What truth? Jake felt the tremors in his hands. The candlelight quivered, casting fleeting glimpses of the unearthly being. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, to bolt from the room and never look back, yet the haunting allure of the unknown pulled him deeper into the darkness. You seek a peace long lost, the figure murmured, its voice lilting and haunting, yet you tread upon a path that leads only to awakening. Jake's heart hammered in his chest, the words washing over him like icy water. Awakening? What could that possibly mean? The unease within him twisted, spilling over into a raw, chilling fear he couldn't shake. Why me? He asked, the question clawing its way out, breaking the desperate silence like a glass shattering on a hard surface. Because you have stirred the embers, it replied, each syllable wrapping around him like chains. You summoned the echoes of forgotten truths when you called upon the night. Jake's mind raced. He hadn't meant to summon anything. He just wanted answers, clarity, maybe even closure. But the space around him felt as if it was closing in, the shadows gripping at his ankles, willing him to submit to their will. Let me go, he tried to sound assertive, but it came out a whisper. Did he have the right to demand anything from this being? To know is to suffer. The figure remained transfixed, its coal-like eyes boring into him. Suffering births understanding, and understanding births power. Jake swallowed hard. He felt small, and the weight of the stickiness of the atmosphere pressed sharply down on him, encasing him in a box of his own making. Clenching the candle tighter, he could feel the hot wax oozing down, a sharp reminder of the burning moment he was in. Tell me, he cried out, desperation cracking his voice. "What is the truth?" With a sudden burst, the shadows around him converged. The room flickered, revealing snapshots of moments long past. Faces twisted in agony, whispers of betrayal, and shadows drenched in despair played out in rapid flashes before him. Memories not his own gripped him tightly, their pain flooding through his veins. Was this his future, too? "You must choose," the figure spoke, its voice resonating with an otherworldly echo that filled the room. "Embrace the truth and face the darkness," it paused, "or reject it and remain in the muffled semblance of peace you so desire." Jake felt torn apart. The candle's blaze flickered again, as if it, too, sensed the impending choice. The weight of the truth pressed down harder. What was he willing to sacrifice? In the sputtering light, he glimpsed something behind the figure, a door, slightly ajar, exuding a faint glow. It promised answers, real answers, but at what cost? A sliver of hope danced before him, yet fear clawed at his insides. How much truth could he bear? As he took a tentative step towards the light, a deafening crack shook the room, snapping his focus back to the figure. The very fabric of reality trembled as the shadows surged violently. "Choose wisely," Jake had hissed, the urgency in its tone pulling him forward, coaxing him into the light that flickered like a heartbeat. What awaited him beyond that threshold? Would he slip further into the abyss or emerge with clarity? One thing was certain. This truth was bound to change everything. As the shadows screamed and the doorway beckoned, Jake took a deep breath, and then he pushed forward, ready to find out just how far the depth stretched. The instant Jake crossed the threshold, a surge of warmth enveloped him, pulling him from the cold grip of shadows behind. He stumbled into a vast chamber, illuminated by a radiant light that felt alive, palpable, and warm. It was a stark contrast to the oppressive darkness he had just fled. He stood there, heart racing, mind swirling. The walls glimmered like liquid gold, shifting and shimmering with hues that felt almost sentient. Strange symbols danced around him, unrecognizable yet deeply familiar, echoing the ancient whispers from the figure before. "Welcome to the realm of truth," chimed a voice, melodic and soothing. Jake turned, eyes widened. Another figure stood before him, but this one was solid and radiant, almost ethereal. Her presence was nurturing, like that of an old friend. "I am Naira. I was waiting for you." "Waiting for me?" Jake's voice cracked. "Why?" "Because every choice you make shapes this realm." She gestured around, and the symbols reacted, pulsating to her movements. "You are here to confront your past, your fears, and the choices that bind you." "What does that mean?" he asked, backing away as uncertainty flooded in. "I didn't want any of this." Naira approached slowly, each step steady and graceful, infusing the air with a sense of calm. "You ponder the weight of knowledge, Jake. But in seeking truth, one must also face the pain it can reveal. In this space, you can confront the shadows of your own existence. Are you ready for that?" Jake felt as though he teetered on the edge of a great chasm, the wind howling below, urging him to take a step back. Memories began flashing before him, fragments of joy, moments of anguish. Faces he had long buried resurfaced, their eyes pleading, their voices echoing truths he wasn't ready to hear. "Face them, Jake," Naira coaxed, her stance unwavering. "You must allow those moments to guide you. Every sorrow you bury grows monstrous in the dark, and every joy you shackle diminishes your spirit." The atmosphere shifted, vibrating with intensity. Jake felt a cold sweat trickle down his spine. He couldn't dismiss the truth any longer. He had buried too much, afraid to bear the weight of it all. Suddenly, the wall to his right pulsed violently, revealing a scene his childhood home, engulfed in flames, cries of family members fading into the fire. The pain in his chest felt physical, as if the flames leapt from the wall and licked at his skin. "No, I can't," he choked out, staggering backward. "I can't relive this." "Reliving it is the only way to heal," Naira replied, her voice steady, yet compassionate. "Why should I want to heal?" he shouted, anger breaking through the fear. "It hurts more to remember. It is your choice," she said, calm amidst the storm of emotions. "You can keep running, or you can rise from the ashes of your past." The radiant light shifted, pulsing, demanding an answer. Jake felt trapped, caught between the warmth of truth and the chill of fear. Would facing these memories destroy him, or was that the only way to forge a path forward? In that moment of agonizing decision, the air shimmered with promise and despair. Should he brave the flames again? Could he possibly emerge whole? As he fought with himself, a sudden scream echoed through the chamber, a shriek he recognized, wrapped in despair that felt so achingly familiar. "Jake!" it cried. His heart dropped. That voice belonged to someone he had lost, someone whose absence haunted him still. "Is it really you?" he whispered, a desperate hope blooming against the backdrop of uncertainty. "Only if you dare to listen." He needed to choose, and quickly. The call was louder now, the whispers growing more insistent. What would he decide? Would he answer the call of the past, or let it slip away once more? Each heartbeat quickened the tension, the moment teetering on the edge of revelation. Now was the time to embrace or deny. The moment Jake heard that familiar voice, a whirlwind of emotions crashed over him. Memories spun in his mind, everything he'd lost, every whispered promise made in the dark. Who was calling him? Could it really be her? His breath caught in his throat, and fear clung to him like a wet cloak. "Jake!" The voice cried again, each syllable punctuated by desperation. It echoed through the chamber, the walls vibrating with the sound, wrapping around him like phantom hands reaching out for connection. Jake clenched his fists. I can't go back there." "It's the only way," Naira said softly, her presence a steady beacon amidst the chaos. "If you don't confront the flames, they will consume you from the inside." The imagery assaulted him again. Flames danced wildly, and he could feel the heat licking at his face, hear the screams blending into a chorus of anguish. It was too much, too raw. He wanted to run, to escape this realm that sought to tear his heart open. Yet the summons from beyond pushed and prodded him forward. "What do you want from me?" Jake called out, his voice trembling. The room felt as if it were pressing down on him, with every whisper and every flicker of light filled with urgent intent. "What am I supposed to do?" "Let go," the voice beckoned, now fluid and soothing. "Only through your pain can you find peace. We've been waiting for you." "For what? To suffer more?" he shot back, his anger flaring. But deep down, he felt it, the tug of longing, the dim hope that healing lay on the other side of this unbearable lesson. It was the conflict between wanting freedom from the weight of his past and the desperate need to know what had truly happened. "Trust the truth," Naira urged, her eyes glimmering like stars. "You have the power to change the ending." As he hesitated, the flames on the wall flickered brighter, and suddenly they shifted, revealing another scene: his mother, her face awash with fear, trying to escape. A heat radiated from a wall that felt almost like a heartbeat. "No," Jake choked, his chest tightening painfully. "I watch her die. I can't bear to see it again." "You must," Naira replied, her tone unwavering. "You can't carry that weight forever." In defiance, Jake turned away, clenching his teeth. But then a surge of sadness flooded him, pulling him back to the wall. "If I go back, if I face her, what if it breaks me? Or what if it frees you?" Naira's voice was gentle yet firm, her words slicing through his doubts. "Healing is always terrifying, but it is also how we reclaim our lives." Taking a deep breath, Jake stepped toward the wall. The air crackled with energy, and as he reached out, warmth enveloped his fingers. The scene solidified, and in a moment of reckless courage, he plunged into it, the memories grasping him. Pulling him back to the very moment that had shaped him. He stood there, pale with the weight of memories, watching as the fire raged, his mother's desperate attempts to save everything swirling around him. Every flame, every cry, every ounce of fear cascaded back into his heart. "Jake!" she screamed one last time, reaching out toward him, her hand stretched in a silent plea for help. Suddenly, the flames roared higher, and with them, A sharp pain sliced through Jake's chest. He was trapped in the moment, but also outside of it, his spirit crying out for resolution. He had to face what he thought he could never endure again, as he stepped into the fire's embrace. The world around him disintegrated into darkness, swallowed by his own uncertainties and the blaring cacophony of fear. Just then, he caught a glimpse of a figure emerging from the shadows, a ghostly silhouette tangled in chains. "Help me. I can't break free." It echoed, a voice that sounded hauntingly like his. A shudder ran through him. Would he dare to confront the truth? Or would he let this specter, this echo of his fear, consume him entirely? The decision loomed large, heavier than the flames around him. In that frozen moment of clarity, the air thickened. Everything hung in balance. What was he willing to sacrifice for the chance at freedom? The heat engulfed Jake, wrapping around him like a serpent. Flames licked at his skin, yet he felt no physical pain, only the torment of memories flooding back, crashing over him like waves. A cry echoed in the air, "Jake!" But it wasn't just his mother's voice. It was fragmented, layered with whispers that he couldn't quite discern. He stumbled forward, heart pounding. The sight of his mother, so vivid, so real, made him gasp. It was like standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing he had to jump. His stomach twisted, and he fought to keep his eyes locked on her. She was there, within reach, but those pleading eyes held a storm of fear, confusion, desperation. "Mom!" Jake shouted, but the sound was swallowed by the chaos around him. As the flames swirled, the figure in chains grew clearer. It was him, or at least a version of him, shackled by regret, every link a burden of pain he thought he'd escaped. The ghostly apparition looked up and whispered, "You must choose, or you will lose me forever." What did that even mean? The thought of losing more tore at his insides. He was tired of running, tired of hiding. In that moment of swirling smoke and flickering light, he took a step forward, each footfall heavy with purpose, yet burdened by fear. The chains rattled ominously as he approached the figure. "Let me help you," Jake pleaded, feeling an urgency he couldn't shake. The memories dripped around him like burning wax, each one igniting a spark of hope. Maybe this was the time to silence the nightmares. "What help can you offer when you're tethered to?" The figure retorted, its voice eerily calm but laced with pain. "You can't escape until you accept what you've done." Jake's throat tightened. "I can't face that. I buried it deep for a reason." "You think burying it makes it disappear?" The figure snapped back. "You must confront the darkness before you can step into the light." The flames roared louder, demanding his attention, but it was his reflection that tore at his soul. He could see disappointment etched on the ghost's features, disappointment in himself, in the choices that led to this moment. "Jake!" His mother's voice sliced through the din once more urgent than ever. And with it came the memories, the laughter they shared, those cozy nights filled with stories. But then it twisted to screams, flames engulfing everything. "You have to help me." He turned to her, fear flooding his mind. "I can't bear to see you like this." "Then you'll always be chained to this pain," she cried, and with each syllable, the flames flickered, momentarily revealing something more, the truth hidden in shadows. A realization hit him hard. There was no escape without understanding, no freedom without facing the dark that lingered just beneath the surface. It wasn't just about resolving what happened. It was about confronting what he had become. "Please tell me what to do," he choked out, realization dawning and igniting a flicker of hope again. Suddenly, silence enveloped him, the flames receding just enough to reveal shadows dancing along the walls. They whispered secrets in a language he could almost understand. The ghostly figure hovered nearby, chains still binding it, but hope flickering dangerously in its eyes. "You have the strength to break the cycle, Jake. But are you ready to face what you've hidden away?" The darkness pulse became tangible, the cacophony fading to stillness as questions pulsed through him. Could he truly summon the strength to reclaim what was lost? Just then, the chains rattled with a newfound power, as if sensing his wavering resolve. The trap was tightening, the choice moments slipping between his fingers like sand. And as Jake inhaled deeply, ready to face the unknown, the figure morphed, becoming a twisted version of himself, one he had feared all along. Jake, decision time. Will you fight for your freedom or remain shackled in the shadows? The answer loomed like a storm cloud, dark, heavy, threatening rain. And just like that, he could feel the walls of his past closing in what awaited him on the other side of his. Acceptance? Would he be devoured by the flames or rise reborn? The air shifted and a heavy silence fell, wrapping Jake in its cold embrace. Sweat trickled down his brow as the flames flickered like dying stars, casting eerie shadows that danced around him. In that moment, he felt both buoyed by possibility and crushed by the weight of his choices. The question hung before him like a pendulum, swinging dangerously close. Will you fight for your freedom or remain shackled in the shadows? Echoed in his mind, each word piercing through the fog of uncertainty. The twisted version of himself stared back, eyes wide with a mix of remorse and fury. It was a reflection of every decision he had ever made, every fear he had tucked away. A small part of him wanted to scream, to run, but there was nowhere to go. He took a brave step forward, summoning every ounce of courage. I want to be free. The words burst forth, raw and unrestrained, fueled by desperation. Even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him, each moment a reminder of his past failures. Freedom comes with a price, the ghostly figure sneered, its voice a haunting whisper that echoed maliciously. The chains clanged ominously, each rattling sound a reminder of his constraints. Can you afford to pay it? Tell me what to do. Jake urged, feeling heat build around him. I'm ready to face it. Face what? The hurt? The choices? Or the truth you've buried? The apparition loomed closer, its spectral face twisting into a grotesque grin. You must unearth it all to escape the flames. Jake's heart raced. The flames crackled angrily, licking toward him as if teasing him to retreat. I don't know if I can, he shouted, the despair clawing at his throat like a beast desperate to escape. You've already faced a life-altering choice, the figure taunted. Look around. This is your creation, Jake. You made this hell. Each word punctured his resolve, yet deep down, a flicker of determination sparked. No, I refuse to accept this. I can change. With that declaration, something shifted. The chains rattled violently, as if responding to his newfound defiance. Heat intensified, closing in around him. It suddenly felt like he was standing in front of a massive door. When that door swung open, what would come spilling out? Then embrace the pain. Let it wash over you, yelled the figure, the shadows swirling angrily around it, growing taller, more menacing. Only in pain can you find peace. As chaos erupted, Jake steadied his breath. The truth was there, smothered beneath the rubble of his regrets. It was time to confront it, time to face himself, all the mistakes he ran from, all the heartache that kept him shackled. Whatever it takes, he murmured, his determination stealing. The flames blazed higher, the shadows loomed larger, but he held his ground. Then, from the corner of his eye, a blinding light emerged, illuminating the darkness. A warmth began to lift the chill that had settled in his bones, offering a glimpse of salvation. Don't let it consume you. His mother's voice slipped through the cracks of fear. Jake's heart thudded painfully in his chest. I'm coming, Mom, he screamed, more to himself than anyone else, ready to take the leap. But just as he took a step, the flames surged with renewed fury, and the twisted version of himself lunged, its hands reaching out to drag him down. You think you can escape me? I am you. What if you're wrong? Jake shouted back, voice steadied with newfound resolve. The light grew brighter, cutting through the haze, igniting a path forward. Only one way to find out, he whispered, breaking free from the grip of fear. And with that, he launched himself into the unknown, trusting that the light would guide him. But as he crossed the threshold, another question whispered in his ear, piercing through the chaos. Would he be free, or would he be engulfed in flames, lost forever to the fire of his own making? The shadows laughed, a cacophony of mocking voices building around him as the light flickered in and out. Jake faltered, teetering on the edge of a choice that could alter everything. Would he rise up or fall down? The answer hovered just beyond his reach, a tantalizing mystery lingering in the air. The moment Jake crossed into the light, everything changed. The heat of the flames receded, transforming into a soft glow that wrapped around him like a warm embrace. He gasped as the air shifted, becoming cleaner, clearer. Relief washed over him, but it was fleeting. He found himself in a vast, empty expanse. It wasn't what he expected. There were no colors, no fiery shadows. Just an endless white stretching beyond comprehension. "Where am I?" he whispered, his voice a mere echo. Between worlds, a voice answered, smooth and disembodied. It felt familiar, yet foreign. "Who is there?" Jake shouted, heart racing again. A shape emerged from the void. It was a figure dressed in a cloak of shimmering light, its face obscured but radiating compassion. "I am the keeper of choices," it said, each word tinged with an ethereal quality. "You stand at the threshold of possibility." Jake's mind raced. "What do you mean?" "I want to be free." "Freedom comes with understanding," the keeper replied. "You must confront the truth you fear most." The shadows of his regrets slid back, reforming at the edges of this new space. They writhed and twisted, dark tendrils reaching out like desperate hands. "You think you can forget us?" They sneered in unison, a chorus of his past missteps, filled with rage and confusion. Jake shouted back, "No, I'm done running." But deep down, the fear clawed at him, urging him to retreat. "Each choice has its weight," the keeper continued. "You want light, yet darkness lingers. To bring about your freedom, you must face the very pain you seek to escape." Jake clenched his fists, grounding himself. "What do I have to do?" "Take one step into the shadows," the keeper instructed, gesturing toward the roiling darkness. "Redeem your past by acknowledging it." His breath caught in his throat. "But what if they pull me back in?" The keeper stepped closer, the light surrounding it flickering with intensity. "The past cannot harm you if you learn from it. It is only a shadow until you shine light upon it." With a knot in his stomach, Jake edged closer to the swirling darkness. Memories flooded his mind, faces and voices that cut him like glass. There was his father's disappointed frown, the abandoned dreams, the friendships lost to arrogance. Each fragment was a destructive spark, trying to ignite the flames once again. He took in a deep breath, the cold air filling his lungs with courage. "I see you," he declared, his voice stronger. "I see all of you. I'm sorry for the hurt I caused. I was scared and I ran. But no more." As the words left his lips, the shadows clutched at him, trying to draw him down into despair. Yet, as he acknowledged each regret, they began to shrink. The painful memories twitched and softened, losing their sharpness. "Hold your ground, Jake," the keeper urged. "Face them until they lose their power over you." It felt like an eternity, wrestling with the pain he'd buried, each memory dragging him back. Sweat beaded on his brow as the shadows pulsed with life, taking on darker hues in protest. But with every declaration of truth, with every shard of regret acknowledged, more light surged within him. "I'm not those choices," he cried out. "I refuse to let my past control my future." The shadows splintered, breaking apart, dissolving into wisps like fog on a sunny morning. With a final roar, they vanished, leaving behind a profound stillness. The keeper watched with pride, the glow surrounding it brightening. "You have taken your first step toward freedom, but your journey isn't over yet. The choice remains: will you embrace who you are, or retreat into comfort?" Jake met the keeper's gaze, determination flooding him anew. "I'll embrace it." But as he took another breath, the ground beneath his feet quivered. Beneath the silence, a deeper rumbling echoed, something lurking in the depths of the void, something angry and restless. Shadows shifted ominously, hinting the battle was far from over. A chilling thought struck him. If he faced one shadow, what could a host of them bring? As Jake steadied himself, waiting for the next surge of darkness to emerge, he knew the true test of his resolve was about to begin. Could he truly confront the restless ghosts of his past, or would he falter under their weight? The answer loomed dangerously close, shaking the very ground of his newly found courage. As the tremors grew stronger, Jake's heart pounded in his chest. It felt as if the ground beneath him was alive, pulsating with a menacing energy. He could almost hear the whispers of despair rising again, taunting him from the depths of the darkness. "Face us, face who you are, shut up," he shouted, feeling the weight of their accusations bear down like a storm. The shadows twisted and churned, forming into grotesque shapes. Recollections of his failures loomed closer, swirling into one monstrous figure that took the shape of his father's disappointed face. "You failed me," Jake had hissed, its voice dark and echoing. "You let fear win. Get away from me," Jake shouted, stumbling back. He could feel the fear inching in again, crawling up his spine. But the Keeper's words danced in his mind. He had to face them. Taking a few shaky steps forward, he raised his voice. "That's not true. I did my best with what I had." The shadows paused, shifting slightly as his defiance cracked their hold. "You abandoned us," the figure bellowed, and the vortex around Jake grew fierce. He could feel icy fingers creeping closer, trying to grip him once more. "No," he cried, gripping his temples. "I left because I didn't know what else to do. I was scared. But I'm back now, and I will not let you control me." The ground shook violently, as if reacting to his declaration, cracks forming and light seeping from them. "Embrace who you are, Jake," the Keeper urged softly, its voice a soothing balm against the chaos. "Only then will you rise above the weight of your choices." Summoning his courage, Jake took another step toward the shadows, not backing down. "I own my mistakes. I recognize my weaknesses." As he uttered that acknowledgement, he felt a wave of warmth swirling inside him, igniting a spark of power that pushed back against the darkness. The figure screeched, its face peeling away into shadowy tendrils. "You think this will save you?" It mocked, a chorus of voices swirling to form an echoing mockery of his own. "You think you can outshine your past?" But Jake didn't falter. "I won't let you drag me down," he roared, feeling the light growing brighter within him, illuminating all the wrong turns and failures as spots of experience, not chains. Each memory transformed, unveiling lessons learned rather than losses endured. With a surge of newfound strength, he shouted, "You have no power over me." The shadows writhed violently, shrieking as cracks spread across the ground, light spilling out like a radiant fountain. The monstrosity began to evaporate, the body of despair disintegrating into nothingness. As the echoes fell silent, a calm washed over the vast expanse. Jake stood tall, breathing heavily, arms outstretched as he let the light consume him. But he knew this was not the end. Above him loomed an all-consuming darkness, swirling and thickening with intent. "What is this?" he gasped, his heart sinking. "Yes, you've faced your past," the Keeper's voice came, now softer, yet laced with urgency. "But a greater challenge lies ahead. The true darkness is not just what you've encountered." Before Jake could respond, a chilling wind swept through the void, spiraling around him, tightening like a vice. Shadows began to coalesce once again, forming a multitude of dark figures, each one eager to pounce. "No!" he yelled, panic rising. The ground trembled underneath him, threatening to swallow him whole. He realized then that facing his past was only a small piece of the puzzle. The shadows that attacked now were woven into the very fabric of his soul, seeking to overtake his newfound strength. Staying grounded isn't enough anymore, Jake whispered to himself. "I have to face this, all of it." But as he braced himself for the battle, one question struck him deep. How could he fight a darkness that felt as eternal as the void around him? With the figures closing in, he had to find the answer fast. Would he be engulfed by the very shadows he thought he had conquered, or could he emerge into the light once more? Time was running out. Jake stood at the precipice, heart racing, mind spiraling. The shadows loomed, hungry and ragged, twisting into familiar forms that clawed at his resolve. They were the demons of his past, the regrets, the mistakes, the moments he thought he buried for good. Each figure whispered haunting truths, and for a fleeting moment, panic threatened to swallow him whole. "Face us, Jake," they taunted, their voices merging into a sinister chorus. "You think you've won? You don't even know the darkness we carry." "No," he yelled, fist clenched. "You don't define me anymore." His voice quivered, but determination coursed through him like a wildfire. He could feel the Keeper's essence behind him, urging him to embrace the light within. "I am more than my mistakes," he shouted, trying to channel the strength he pulled from confronting his past. He stepped into the fray, facing the swirling darkness with a fire he didn't know he had. It flickered like a beacon in the night, cutting through the thick tendrils of despair. As he drew closer, the figures morphed, twisting back into those memories of fear and shame, each one clawing desperately to reclaim their hold. "You can't escape us. We are you," they screeched. "Yes, I once was you," Jake roared, and with each word, he pounded his fists into the air. "But I'm not that scared kid anymore. I choose to rise. I choose healing." His heart thundered, an echo bouncing off the walls in booming harmony, enveloping him in strength. One by one, the shadows shrank back, twisting in anguish. "No, you'll regret this choice," they threatened, but Jake pressed on. He embraced the pain, letting it seep into his being. Each regret he faced felt like a dagger, yet he held on. Regret became understanding, anger transformed into a lesson. The void around him dimmed with every revelation he made. "I accept you," he declared, breathing deeply as light poured from his core. The shadows writhed violently, and with every ounce of truth he spoke, they shrieked as if being burned alive. "You have no power over me anymore." Suddenly, the ground beneath him trembled, a fissure opening wide, revealing a chasm of light pulsating below. Jake felt the tug of something immense pulling him closer to the void, an overwhelming energy welcoming him like a long-lost friend. "Step into the light and embrace the power held within your truth," urged the Keeper's voice, echoing above the chaos. Taking a step forward, Jake felt both fear and exhilaration wrap around him like a warm blanket. He reached toward the brilliant light, driven by an inexplicable pull. The shadows recoiled, and with a final, desperate screeching, they dissolved into nothingness. As he crossed the threshold into the light, warmth enveloped him, wrapping around his spirit like a comforting embrace. Suddenly, clarity poured in, visions racing before him, the faces of those he loved, the laughter and memories filled with both heartache and joy. Jake's heart swelled with understanding. He had uncovered the truth of who he was beyond the pain. It was their lessons that made him whole. Surrounded by the shimmering light, he felt forgiveness wash over him, not just forgiveness for those he lost, but for himself too. The self-blame that was so heavy crumbled away in an instant. "Thank you," he whispered with deep sincerity. "Thank you for letting me learn." As the light enveloped him, his spirit soared, the experience burning brightly in his heart, illuminating paths once obscured. He longed to carry this clarity back into the world. Beyond, a vastness of possibilities awaited, unmarred by the shadows he once feared. Jake awoke in his room, the sun streaming through the window, casting a soft glow on the fabric of his reality. The shadows were gone. Filled with a newfound peace, he understood now he'd risen from the ashes of his past. Freedom lay in acceptance, in facing the dark truths and learning from them. His journey was just beginning, but he was ready to walk it. With a determined smile on his face, he grabbed his phone, ready to share the tale of his awakening with others, to inspire hope in those still trapped in shadows. "Let there be light," he murmured, stepping forward, chasing the dawn. "Now, hear this loud and clear, dear friends. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately if you don't want to miss more spine-tingling tales like this. It's not just any story. It's a journey through the darkness to the dawn. So, smash that like button right now to fuel the algorithm. Let us get this story out there. And don't you dare skip this. Flood the comments with your thoughts, your reactions, and your theories about Jake's journey. I want to hear it all. Did you feel his pain? Did you celebrate his victory? Let me know. But wait, there's more. Take a moment to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful conclusion. Don't hesitate. They deserve this journey, just like you. This is the moment to show your support for our community, and I'm counting on you to help spread the light.